In September of 1898, newspapers reported that the Arizona mining camp of Jerome had been wiped out by fire. An early dispatch listed 11 bodies recovered, more residents missing, and 1,600 without shelter. The headline read, "Jerome burns again," because the flames had come before.
It's the 0 hour. Tonight we climb Cleopatra Hill, where copper, timber, and bad odds built a city against the slope. This is the true story of how quickly it almost disappeared.
Jerome did not grow across a gentle plain. It clung to the steep side of Cleopatra Hill above Arizona's Verde Valley. Mining money pulled people upward: miners, merchants, cooks, gamblers, families, and laborers from across the world. Tents and wooden shacks crowded beside hotels, saloons, restaurants, and company buildings. Water was difficult. Streets were tight. Wind could climb the gullies faster than a man. In a place built quickly and packed close, one flame did not belong to one building for long.
In April of 1894, fire broke out in Jerome's business district. The alarm was not an electric bell. According to a historical account collected by Western mining history, a bartender ran into the street and fired gunshots to wake the town. 12 buildings burned. Imagine opening your eyes in a dark room, hearing pistol fire echo off the hill, and realizing the orange light outside was not sunrise. Jerome survived. Then, only weeks later, fire came back.
A second blaze struck in June of 1894. On Christmas Eve of 1897, another fire tore through the district that newspapers of the period called the Tenderloin. Each disaster exposed the same weakness: too much dry wood, too little room, and not enough water to stop a fast-moving wall of heat. But copper was booming. People rebuilt where the paychecks were. The town returned to business, stacked the walls close together, and waited without admitting it was waiting. The worst fire arrived in September of 1898. A contemporary Wire report said it began in a cabin after a night of drinking. The exact human story at that cabin is difficult to recover through the smoke of sensational reporting. What is clear is how quickly the fire escaped. It raced through a narrow gulch and the ravines feeding it. People had so little time that one report said they could not even save their clothing. Jerome's topography turned the settlement into a chimney. Flame moved uphill through rows of wooden structures, while wind carried burning debris ahead of it. The same dispatch described stone buildings yielding almost as quickly as pasteboard. That language may be dramatic, but the destruction was real. More than 150 residences were reported lost, along with 25 stores, saloons, and other businesses. The town's commercial heart became a field of heat, ash, and broken walls. The Macon Telegraph printed the Associated Press account on September 12th under a blunt headline, "11 Dead at Jerome." It reported 11 bodies recovered and a score or more missing. Modern histories often give a lower confirmed death toll. That difference matters. First reports from disasters are written while streets are still burning, names are missing, and rumor moves faster than officials. We do not know that the headline was the final count.
We do know what readers across the country saw the next morning: a town erased, bodies in the ruins, and hundreds of families without shelter.
The report placed the number of homeless at 1,600. Special trains left Prescott carrying tents and relief material. Insurance covered little because underwriters already understood the risk. The water supply was inadequate. Families who had arrived for wages and possibility stood on the slope with whatever they had carried out. Behind them, the place where they had slept was still too hot to search.
Jerome's own historical plan describes the September fire as the most disastrous in its early history. It says the entire business district and a large residential section were consumed. 24 saloons, 14 Chinese restaurants, gambling houses, and the red light district. Those numbers reveal more than property loss. They show the lives usually flattened by the phrase mining camp, immigrant businesses, kitchens, rented rooms, night workers, and whole neighborhoods that official photographs rarely centered.
Jerome had burned before. Now it had been warned in a language no one could ignore. But the fire was not finished with the town. In May of 1899, another major fire began in the Leyland Hotel and damaged or destroyed much of downtown, including the new hospital. By then, the lesson had become policy. Jerome incorporated in March of 1899, and the town began imposing construction controls intended to reduce the hazard. Brick and stone replaced more of the improvised wood. Fire equipment improved. Rebuilding did not make Jerome invulnerable, but it changed what the town believed survival required. Jerome would endure mine fires, labor conflict, landslides, the closing of the mines, and near abandonment. Yet the early fires remain visible in the logic of the streets. Old masonry beside empty space, buildings from different rebuilding eras pressed against the mountain, and a civic identity built around destruction followed by return. Ghost stories eventually gathered around the hotels, hospitals, and mine shafts. The documented history underneath them was already frightening enough. A ghost town is supposed to be a place people left behind. Jerome is stranger. It is a place the living kept rebuilding after the dead. The fire and the mountain told them to leave. The next tale begins at midnight.